Welcome back to TechEyeSpy, where we cut through the noise and focus on the companies building tomorrow's technology in real time. Today we're heading into orbit, not to chase rockets or space tourism, but to track something far more grounded: the quiet revolution in Earth observation data. And there is no company more symbolic of that shift than Planet Labs PBC, the firm that set out to image the entire Earth every single day and is now reshaping global intelligence, agriculture, climate monitoring, and defense infrastructure with a new generation of AI-enabled satellites. Before we begin, a quick thank you to everyone supporting the channel, and if you enjoy deep, long-form tech analysis, check out our books on Amazon under TechEyeSpy for even more detailed sector guides and company breakdowns. It keeps the lights on, it keeps this channel independent, and it helps us create more episodes like this. Now, Planet Labs. This is one of the rare companies whose mission sounds almost fictional at first glance. Hundreds of shoebox-sized satellites delivering a living, breathing map of Earth as it changes. Forests thinning, crops dehydrating, coastlines shifting, infrastructure expanding, militaries mobilizing, insurance risk evolving in real time, the whole planet becoming a data layer. What they're doing now, in late 2025, is even more interesting. Planet has moved far beyond the original constellation of Dove CubeSats. They've launched their new Pelican series, powerful, high-resolution satellites equipped with onboard AI accelerators. These don't just take images. They analyze, filter, classify, and compress them in orbit before they even reach the ground. That means faster intelligence, faster alerts, and a commercial value proposition that has matured dramatically over the last year. And the market has noticed. Between defense customers wanting to monitor maritime choke points, European governments securing climate and security data, and Asian clients signing deals worth over $200 million for dedicated constellations, Planet has quietly evolved from a cool space startup into something that resembles a private geo-intelligence backbone. This is where the story gets compelling for investors. We're watching a company shift from subscription imagery into contract-driven infrastructure with manufacturing expansions in Europe and a satellite cadence that shows real confidence. With onboard AI, edge compute imaging, and dedicated customer tasking, Planet is building not just satellites, but a vertically integrated data machine. Today, we're going to explore how Planet Labs works, why its mission matters now, and what the company's latest pivot tells us about the future of Earth observation as both a technology and an investment class. Let's get into it. Strengths. When you analyze Planet Labs, the first and most obvious strength is scale, not in mass or size, but in cadence. Most satellite companies are built around a handful of exquisitely expensive, decade-long spacecraft. Planet went the opposite way. Hundreds of small, rapidly replaceable birds that sweep across the Earth every day. That strategic inversion is their superpower. It gives them the highest revisit rate on the planet. And in data businesses, frequency is everything. A picture captured once a week is a snapshot. A picture every day becomes a dataset. And a dataset becomes a business. The second strength is the hybrid capability they now operate. The original Dove and Super Dove CubeSats deliver wide global coverage at medium resolution, perfect for monitoring changes in agriculture, forestry, ice coverage, infrastructure development, and environmental risk. But their newer Pelican high-resolution satellites add the sharp detail governments and commercial clients want for defense, maritime surveillance, and precision mapping. It means Planet can offer both the broad brushstroke and the fine detail, a wide-angle lens paired with a scalpel. Very few companies straddle both worlds effectively. Another major strength, and one that has matured dramatically in the last 12 months, is their embrace of onboard AI and edge computation. Pelican satellites carry NVIDIA-powered hardware that can analyze imagery in orbit before it ever reaches Earth. That saves bandwidth, speeds up intelligence delivery, and sets Planet apart technologically. It allows them to deliver not just pictures, but processed insights, change detection, anomaly identification, rapid classification. They are moving from an imagery company to a geointelligence provider. Then there is the financial evolution. For years, the criticism was simple: great tech, shaky economics. But now we're seeing sustained growth in recurring revenue, high-margin analytics contracts, and rising governmental demand. Their backlog, now in the hundreds of millions, provides unusual visibility for a space tech firm. The recent $230 million Asian constellation contract and the €240 million German government agreement show Planet has crossed the line from interesting to trusted. Governments do not spend that kind of money on toys. They spend it on infrastructure. A further strength lies in Planet's vertical integration. They design, build, test, and operate their satellites. They manage their own data pipeline. And now, they've expanded manufacturing capacity in Berlin to ramp up Pelican production. Owning that pipeline reduces dependency risk and accelerates innovation cycles. They can design new sensors, scale production, and deploy upgrades on their own timescale, not as suppliers. And finally, something subtle but powerful: Planet's data archive. More than a decade of continuous Earth imagery, mapped, indexed, and searchable. That historical dataset is irreplaceable. You cannot build it overnight. You cannot buy it from a competitor, and you cannot replicate it without spending a decade in space. For AI model training, climate prediction, agricultural forecasting, insurance analytics, and environmental research, that archive is a moat. It is the resource that every other competitor wishes they had. Together, these strengths tell a clear story. Planet Labs is no longer just a constellation operator. It has become a strategic data layer for governments, insurers, farmers, climatologists, infrastructure monitors, defense planners, and anyone who needs to understand change at scale. This is the kind of company where the technology has outrun the market's perception, and in tech investing, that's where opportunity often hides. Weaknesses. For all its strengths, Planet Labs operates in a part of the tech economy where the distance between brilliance and fragility is measured in millimeters of aluminium and quarterly burn rates. The first weakness is structural. This is a capital-intensive business. Even with smaller satellites, building, testing, launching, and replacing hardware is expensive. Planet's model relies on a constant refresh cycle. CubeSats degrade faster than traditional billion-dollar spacecraft. That means the conveyor belt can never stop. If cash flow stumbles, if a production bottleneck appears, or if launch schedules slip, the entire cadence slows, and Planet's competitive advantage weakens. The second weakness is customer concentration and political exposure. As Planet grows into defense and government contracts which are lucrative, recurring, and increasingly central to its revenue mix, it also becomes tied to the churn of geopolitics. A contract delayed in Berlin, a shift in policy in Tokyo, a budget freeze in Washington, or a sudden pivot in Indo-Pacific naval strategy can hit the balance sheet without warning. Civilian clients come and go. Governments reshape markets overnight. Another challenge is the compression in the Earth observation market. 10 years ago, Planet was an outlier. Now the sky is crowded. Maxar, Airbus, Black Sky, Satellogic, ICEY, Capella, and a wave of synthetic aperture radar (SAR) startups all compete for the same buckets of money. Many offer higher resolution, specialist sensors, or unique orbital architectures. Planet's wide coverage advantage still holds, but the premium imaging market is far noisier than it used to be. The risk is not disruption, it's erosion. 1,000 tiny cuts in market share. Then there is the fundamental weakness of Planet's original business model. Subscription imagery is a slow burner. It takes time to turn images into insights and insights into dependable revenue. For a long stretch, investors questioned whether this was ever going to be a high-margin company or simply a beautiful idea with a clever fleet. Even today, although margins are improving and EBITDA has turned positive, the company still needs sustained growth in analytics and high-value defense contracts to justify its valuation narrative. Operationally, the company faces another pressure: data overload. Daily global imagery is a blessing, but it is also a bottleneck. The more data you have, the more processing, storage, and compute power you need. This is one reason they've pivoted toward onboard AI to reduce the fire hose before it hits the ground, but even that has limits. The value of Planet's data is only as strong as its ability to clean, classify, and deliver it quickly. Slow delivery breaks client workflows. Inefficient pipelines crush margins. A deeper weakness is limited vertical diversification. Planet's analytics platform is improving, but the company is not yet the dominant AI geointelligence provider it wants to be. Competitors offering SAR, hyperspectral sensors, or proprietary analytics stacks can lure clients away with better specialized insights. Planet's dataset is vast, but its productization, especially in industry-specific tools for insurance, energy, mining, maritime, and agriculture, still has room to mature. And finally, there is the public market problem: volatility. Planet is a brilliant engineering company, but markets don't reward brilliance, they reward predictability. Share price swings, investor skepticism, and macroeconomic tightening all affect the company's ability to raise capital or commit to big manufacturing expansions. Space companies often trade like biotech. One contract win away from optimism, one contract delay away from despair. Planet has not escaped that gravity. In short, Planet Labs has the vision and the infrastructure to map the world, but it also carries the vulnerabilities of a company caught between deep tech ambition and the harsh economics of space. Opportunities. If Planet Labs has weaknesses shaped by the physics and economics of space, its opportunities are shaped by something far larger: the accelerating need to understand Earth in real time. Every sector that depends on land, water, risk, agriculture, construction, defense, security, or climate exposure is drifting toward the same conclusion: you cannot manage what you cannot see. And Planet is positioned to become the modern world's eyesight. The most powerful opportunity lies in AI-driven analytics. Planet's historical moat over a decade of daily Earth imagery becomes exponentially more valuable when combined with machine learning. Training AI models on long-span, high-frequency Earth observation data can unlock capabilities few competitors can match. Crop yield prediction months in advance, carbon cycle modeling with unprecedented granularity, wildfire spread forecasting, early detection of illegal mining, and continuous monitoring of urban growth. Their dataset is not simply large, it is irreplaceable. That gives Planet the ability to build proprietary AI models that governments and industries may one day depend on. Another enormous opportunity is the evolution of Earth as a subscription layer. Companies across insurance, agriculture, supply chain, commodities, and energy increasingly want automated insight streams. Alerts when assets are threatened, when crops fail, when coastal infrastructure shifts, when shipping lanes quieten or flare up. This transforms Planet's business model from imagery provider to intelligence utility, something that operates quietly in the background, renewing every year with high margins and sticky clients. The more industries rely on satellite-driven automation, the more Planet becomes part of the operational backbone of modern commerce. Then there is the defense and security opportunity, growing faster than most people realize. Geopolitical tension is rising across the Indo-Pacific, Middle East, and Eastern Europe. Governments that never traditionally invested in satellite capability are now scrambling for real-time Earth data. Planet's hybrid constellation-wide coverage plus high-resolution tasking makes it ideal for surveillance, maritime domain awareness, and infrastructure monitoring. As more nations look to outsource or supplement their intelligence capabilities, Planet has the chance to expand from commercial EO provider to a quasi-strategic asset for dozens of governments. A parallel opportunity lives in vertical market specialization. Planet can move beyond generic imagery platforms into tailored solutions for agriculture, forestry, maritime operations, climate compliance, insurance underwriting, and ESG certification. Farmers want stress detection. Insurers want roof condition scoring. Governments want methane plume identification. Coastal cities want subsidence monitoring. Building sector-specific tools turns Planet into not just a satellite company, but a portfolio of software businesses orbiting the same data core. There is also a major opportunity in dedicated satellite services, custom constellations for nations or mega corporations that need constant surveillance of a region. The $230 million Asian deal and the €240 million German contract are just the beginning. Planet can scale this into a predictable, high-value pipeline. Design, build, operate, and maintain satellites on behalf of clients, while still selling the non-exclusive data globally. This hybrid model, bespoke access, combined with continued commercial rights, is one of the most financially attractive developments in the space industry. Another window is opening in climate risk and regulatory pressure. As global climate policy tightens, satellite-verified emissions tracking, deforestation audits, land use compliance, and environmental reporting will become mandatory for major corporations. Planet is already one of the only players with the dataset and frequency to make that possible. When regulation demands visibility, satellite operators become bottlenecks, and bottlenecks become profitable. Finally, don't underestimate the opportunity in edge computing in space. If Planet successfully perfects onboard AI analysis, it transforms the economics of Earth observation entirely. Instead of downlinking terabytes of imagery, satellites could transmit refined signals, alerts, coordinates, classifications, detected anomalies. That shift from raw pixels to processed intelligence reduces cost, accelerates delivery, and positions Planet as a leader in the next era of orbital computing. Taken together, these opportunities suggest a company with room to grow far beyond its current valuation narrative. Planet isn't just mapping the world, it is positioning itself to interpret it, automate it, and ultimately become an essential part of how governments, industries, and cities make decisions. Threats. For all the opportunity orbiting Planet Labs, there is a persistent gravitational pull of risk, the kind of risk that never fully leaves any space company, no matter how mature or diversified it becomes. The first and most fundamental threat is hardware fragility. Satellites fail, solar panels degrade, sensor calibration drifts, radiation hits when it feels like hitting. A single faulty batch, a flawed component, or a launch anomaly can wipe out dozens of assets at once. When your business depends on a constant skyward conveyor belt, even one misstep introduces a hole in global coverage, and holes are expensive. Then there is the launch dependency problem. Planet is not SpaceX. It doesn't launch its own rockets. It relies on the goodwill, scheduling, and pricing of launch providers who have their own priorities. A slip in manifest, a grounded rocket, a regulatory pause, or a geopolitical disruption can cascade through Planet's entire cadence. The risk isn't just delay, it's compounded delay. A constellation built on revisit frequency cannot afford to stand still. A deeper threat comes from the realm of competition, especially SAR imaging. Synthetic aperture radar providers like NYSE, EYE, and Capella Space are gaining traction because they can see through clouds, smoke, haze, and darkness. That is something optical systems cannot do. And as climate change increases storm frequency and atmospheric turbulence, SAR's relevance grows. If key industries begin treating SAR as the premium data source and optical imagery as supplementary, Planet will be forced to play catch-up in a domain it does not yet dominate. Another threat lies in data sovereignty and regulation. Nations are building walls around their skies. Europe is tightening rules on aerial and satellite data. India, China, and several Middle Eastern states have begun restricting who can collect, share, or analyze imagery above certain resolutions. Planet's model works best when the world is open, when global imagery can be captured without political friction. A future filled with fragmented data jurisdictions could force the company into a patchwork of restricted markets and difficult-to-navigate permissions. There is also the uncomfortable reality of geopolitical weaponization. Satellite imagery is no longer a neutral asset. It shapes battlefields, informs sanctions, exposes military movements, and influences political decisions. As Planet grows more embedded in defense and intelligence workflows, it becomes a target digitally, legally, and diplomatically. The threat isn't just cyber attack, it's strategic pressure. Larger nations may demand preferential access, restrict competitors, or challenge Planet's operations if its data runs counter to their interests. A commercial threat lingers in the rise of AI-first intelligence platforms. Companies that don't own satellites but specialize in fusing data from multiple sources are building powerful analytics layers that sit between raw imagery and the customer. If Planet fails to scale its own analytics quickly enough, it risks becoming a commodity supplier, feeding value into someone else's platform. Pixels are replaceable, intelligence is not. And whoever controls the interpretative layer will control the pricing power. Finally, a long-term threat emerges from macroeconomic tightening. Planet's big clients, governments, insurers, energy firms, logistics networks operate on multi-year budgets. But recessions, political reshuffles, or fiscal austerity can freeze procurement pipelines without warning. A company that depends on recurring high-value contracts must always be prepared for a sudden funding drought, especially in a world where volatility has become the norm rather than the exception. Put together, these threats form the shadow cast by Planet's ambition. Hardware fragility, launch reliance, regulatory fragmentation, geopolitical exposure, and an analytics race that will decide who owns the future of Earth observation. Planet Labs is positioned well better than most, but the path forward is not guaranteed. In space, even a perfect constellation can be undone by a single badly timed event. Conclusion. So where does all of this leave Planet Labs? In many ways, standing exactly where the world is heading. On the threshold of a new economic layer built on Earth. Observation, automation, and AI-driven intelligence. This is a company that began by scattering shoebox-sized satellites across low Earth orbit and ended up building something far more consequential, a living memory of the planet. Not just images, but patterns. Not just snapshots, but signals. A data set that becomes richer with every orbit, more valuable with every year, and harder for any newcomer to replicate. Planet's strengths are clear. An unrivaled historical archive, an unmatched revisit rate, a hybrid imaging strategy, and a growing foothold in defense, climate, agriculture, and infrastructure intelligence. Its weaknesses are equally real. Constant capital demands, competitive pressure, geopolitical exposure, and the fragile physics of operating hardware in space. Yet the opportunities dwarf all of this: AI-led analytics, industry-specific tools, regulatory-driven monitoring, custom constellations, and a global shift toward treating Earth as a constantly updating operational dashboard. In other words, Planet Labs is no longer just a space company. It is becoming part of the world's decision-making infrastructure. And for investors, analysts, and anyone trying to understand the future of Earth observation, this is a company worth watching very closely. Thank you for listening to TechEyeSpy. And if you want to go deeper into the technologies shaping the next decade, from Agritech to quantum, from fintech to space, you can find our full library of TechEyeSpy books on Amazon. They're designed to complement these episodes, expand the analysis, and give you a richer understanding of the sectors we cover each week. As always, stay curious, stay analytical, and I'll see you in the next episode.